Yep, this is definitely Monster Hunter. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, with Monster Hunter now having released globally and properly, hunters everywhere are getting their hands on it, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm actually really enjoying my time with the game so far. Going on nice walks in the autumn weather, carving up monsters left and right. It really is quite fun, and more than anything, what most surprised me is the amount of depth in the actual weapons themselves. This game has 6 weapons currently, which, yes, is less than half of the ones currently used in the main series, but each of them actually feels lovingly crafted by people who genuinely enjoy Monster Hunter, and it pays off in a really enjoyable and familiar type of combat, even in a particularly simplified setting. So today we're going to go over all 6 weapons in Monster Hunter Now, when exactly you unlock them, what their movesets are, including any somewhat tricky little hidden tech maneuvers the game doesn't give you any indication of until you come across it yourself, and any tips that I've got for you so far from my time with each one. Well, first off, let's just quickly go over when you actually unlock them. You start off with the sword and shield right from the beginning. After you finish the tutorial section of the game around HR 11, you access the main story. After you finish chapter 2 of that story, you unlock Greatsword. At HR 15, you unlock all of the other weapons. Simple enough, right? Yes, this does take a good couple of hours of gameplay unless you live in a particularly dense area like a city center, which is of course a bit of a cheat code for this kind of game. That said, let's dive into the weapons themselves, starting off with the one you'll have first, Sword and Shield. This weapon is exceptionally versatile and quick, and most importantly, I think it just has really low commitment time to attacks, meaning you are pretty much always able to dodge because outside of a couple of combos, you don't really get yourself locked into animations, and that is fantastic in a game where health matters as much as it does in this. As for your moveset, your basic taps will do a nice long classic Sword and Shield combo, ending with some shield bashes if you do the full thing. If you hold your finger down on the screen, you will block, which guards against attacks, but you do take some chip damage. If you successfully guard an attack, you can follow it up with the falling shield bash combo, which is really quite potent and strong. However, you do not actually need to block an attack to do this combo, because if you start guarding and then pull your finger down and then release from the screen, you'll do a back hop, which initiates that move without blocking an attack. It is the only really long animation that Sword and Shield has though, so you do have to be careful about timing with this, but it is quite strong when you hit with it without a doubt. Your perfect dodge with Sword and Shield isn't anything crazy, just a small hit, it does decent damage, but because Sword and Shield has an easy time dodging, they don't really give you an overly powerful perfect dodge attack. When you level a weapon up to grade 2 through upgrading, it will get a special skill. Each weapon type has one of their own. Sword and Shield, for its SP attack, gets Perfect Rush, specifically the version of this from Iceborne, actually. When your gauge is full, you can press the button to start Perfect Rush. You are invulnerable to damage while doing this, so the only thing that you need to focus on is timing your taps on the screen with the flashes and Perfect Rush to increase the damage, which, well, then will end with the classic Clutch Claw animation just for fun. This weapon is very good for getting to grips with the game, very versatile too. Honestly, I'll say this here, but it applies to every weapon in the game, actually. Early on, you do just want non-elemental weapons until you find out which weapon you want to main. But once you have worked that out, you do actually want to focus on a couple of elemental weapons within that type. Elements are unusually strong in this game compared to most Monster Hunter games, so it is just the best path to success. After that, then we have the Greatsword, and this is where things get saucy, because I never in my life thought that I would see a relatively accurate representation of modern Greatsword in this, and yet they have done a really awesome job. Tap the screen for low damage slashing combo. If you attack after a dodge, you get a sideways cut, and if you perfect dodge, you do the same attack with more damage reward. Hold down on the screen to charge a classic charged attack. 3 levels of charge, big damage when more charged. Charged attacks also combo, with the second charged attack being stronger than the first, and the third in the combo being true charge slash. You can even do the classic method of doing a low charged first and second slash in order to skip directly to true charge, which is actually quite fun to see realized in this game. On which note, the SP attack for Greatsword when your gauge is full is just a free, unstoppable, instant, fully charged true charge slash with invulnerability on it too, so it's really quite a strong one. A little secret that you have to pretty much find for yourself is that shoulder tackle is also in this game. While charging an attack, if you swipe your finger forwards and release, you do a shoulder tackle. Weirdly, that actually feels like such an obvious and natural motion to represent it to do a shoulder tackle with Greatsword, and it just makes it feel really intuitive to me, which is quite fun. That's really it for Greatsword then as far as the moveset. As far as ideal combos, the low charge skip up to true charge slash is really very strong in this game if you can find the opening, and generally, I would avoid doing uncharged attacks if you can. Their damage is just way lower. Gauge your timing windows and how big your opening is, decide if you just want to go for a single charged attack or a full combo, and then you'll be fine. The damage on this weapon is just really good. Third up today, let's talk about the longsword. Really just getting our swords out of the way here. Like in the main series, longsword has an overarching mechanic called the spirit gauge. This gauge fills as you hit up a monster, but lowers over time and if you get hit as well. This makes longsword arguably the most punishing weapon in the game because with low gauge filled, your damage is really quite poor, but with high gauge, when it gets to the point where it has a red glow around it, your damage is incredible. The spirit gauge works more like 2nd gen longsword than modern longsword, where you just get the 1 gauge rather than the gauge having multiple levels, so high gauge good, low gauge bad, simple as that. If you tap repeatedly, you go into a pretty standard combo of slashes, building decent gauge, and if you slide your finger down and release doing a backward evade after one of these slashes, you actually do a fade slash, attacking in front of you and dodging backwards in the same motion. This can be super useful if you time it right against the right monster attack. As well, if you hold your finger down, you enter EI stance. When you release, you do an EI slash. If you time this perfectly with a monster's incoming attack, it fully negates the incoming damage and also does quite a lot of damage in itself. Your perfect evade with longsword is foresight slash, though it doesn't raise your gauge instantly like it does in the main games, it just does a decent chunk of damage and a bit of gauge filling. If your gauge has reached the red glow state, you can follow up an EI slash with Helmbreaker. This is a long animation, but it does really great damage, though it does also eat up a bunch of your spirit, which then lowers your damage afterwards until you rage the gauge back up. Alternatively, your SP move with longsword is a special Helmbreaker that does not consume spirit, so you get to red mode, then use this to boost its damage a ton, then because unlike regular Helmbreaker you don't drop out of red gauge before the big damage pops, they are also boosted by your red gauge modifier to do a ton of damage. Then you can immediately just follow that up by doing an EI counter into an actual normal Helmbreaker if you want to. Essentially, with perfect play, longsword could easily be the best weapon in the game, but it also incentivizes a lot of very dangerous moves that require perfect timing, and if you time them poorly, it could easily result in a failed hunt very quickly. Very high skill reward on this one as far as I'm concerned. Then for our final melee weapon, let's talk everyone's favorite bonk and stick, the hammer. Your standard tapping combos with this weapon is the golf swing combo, of course. Lower damage first 2 swings, big damage on the finisher attack. If you hold on the screen, you do charged attacks, and unlike other charging weapons with hammer, if you are charging an attack, you will move towards the monster and close gaps, so you can charge well in motion, which is a great representation of this weapon. Your first level charged attack is just a side swipe, the second level is a classic momentum uppercut that carries you forwards and does really good damage, then your third charge stage attack is a nice big finisher slam that does pretty good damage too. As well, after a level 1 or 2 charged attack, you can actually combo into the Big Bang combo for 2 more attacks that must connect with the monster, then follow that with the Big Bang finisher for a ton of damage. Your highest damage combo on like a target dummy type enemy that isn't moving or attacking is a level 2 charged uppercut into Big Bang combo. It just does really nasty damage as a whole, it just takes quite a bit of time to get it out. Perfect dodge with hammer does an instant golf swing finisher for really quite a good amount of damage, very strong, and the SP attack for hammer is spinning bludgeon, ending in a powered up golf swing finisher. My biggest tip for hammer is the lock-on skill you can get early on from the Kulu-Yaku helmet. It just makes it so you can stick to the head like glue no matter what, which is gold to a hammer user. Then we move on to our 2 ranged weapons, and heads up, there is some gyroscoping, which means you have to actually aim by turning your phone around with these just a little bit, and I will start with the bow here. In Monster Hunter now, every bow that you craft has different shot types at different charge levels. Most early bows will have rapid shot for level 1 to 3 and spread or pierce for their level 4 shot. Shot type affects your gameplay choices, so always look at that when you're crafting a new bow. As far as gameplay then, if you tap, you will fire uncharged arrows in a combo, increasing their damage with each shot. If you hold down, you will charge your shot manually. If you do a sideways evade while charging a shot, you do a charge sidestep, holding your charge as you move, and then releasing your shot 1 level up from where it was before. If you do a perfect dodge by doing a charge sidestep, it automatically puts you to the highest shot charge level and then lets loose. This is your highest damage move outside of your SP attack, which is Dragon Piercer. Dragon Piercer is just absolutely nuts in this game. It is just insanely strong damage as long as you time it well and aim it right. If you get a solid shot right through a monster lengthways, you'll see some nasty numbers piling up. Overall, Bow's most solid general gameplay combo in my mind is to do a mix of tap and charged attacks, but only so that you can be ready to actually focus on getting those charged perfect dodges when a monster is attacking you for the full power shots and their massive damage, which makes Bow a pretty high risk weapon as its big damage comes from purposefully iframing, but like Longsword, I think with high skill and good timing, this weapon has extremely high potential. Finally then, our last weapon in Monster Hunter now is the Light Bowgun, and this one is just so incredibly strong. I cannot recommend enough the concept of elemental light bowguns as you progress through this game if you're just looking for safe, reliable hunts. The critical distance, meaning the maximum distance that you can stand away from the monster, is generally actually quite far, so this is a super safe weapon to use compared to most. When crafting a light bowgun, you will see it has multiple shot types. When you are on a hunt, you want to tap to fire the gun, hold down to rapid fire if you have rapid fire as an option. Once you have used all of your ammo, tap again to reload. This will switch to your second shot type on the gun. This alternates every manual reload, but the biggest tech of light bowgun in this game is that you never actually have to manually reload, and it is generally better not to if you can avoid it. If you perfect dodge with LBG, you reload all of your currently equipped ammo, which is really nasty. My gun, for example, has water ammo and then water slicing ammo as a secondary type. The water ammo is fantastic, it does great damage, it's very manageable and versatile, projectile, I can move around while firing it, but the water slicing ammo has tons of recoil, so it sort of locks you in an animation, so ideally I'd actually like to stay on straight up water ammo for the whole hunt if I can, in which case my hunting loop is shoot my water ammo, get a perfect dodge at some point during that to refill the ammo count, keep shooting water ammo, and just loop that as much as you can. See how strong that seems already with low-level bowguns? Again, this one has a high potential skill cap, I think, but I also think it has a very forgiving skill floor, allowing you to get a lot out of it even when you're just starting off. All of your evades on light bowgun are super high distance, which is very much in your favor as well. The SP attack with light bowgun is just firing out one of your big mines as a projectile into the monster and dealing a big pop of damage too, which is really nice and quite simple. And that just about does it, everyone. A showcase of all 6 weapons in Monster Hunter now, how they function, their movesets and their playstyles, and any ideal combos or tips and tricks that I've worked out playing around with them all so far myself. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe it helped you choose which weapon you want to main in the game, or maybe it's just made you even more curious and excited to play all of them for yourself. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.